Imagine a warm day in ancient Israel, with the palace of King David bustling with life. Amidst it all is Tamar, David's only daughter, a young woman of grace and beauty who fills her father's heart with pride. David dreams of a bright future for her, a life filled with joy, peace, and the love of family. Tamar is cherished, a precious gift he longs to protect. Yet, Tamars' journey takes an unexpected turn, one filled with deep pain and profound resilience. Her story is one of heartbreak, but also of faith that perseveres through darkness. As we explore Tamar's life, may her story inspire us to find hope, strength, and healing, reminding us that even in our deepest trials, God's presence is with us, guiding us toward peace. King David is celebrated throughout history for his incredible legacy as a warrior, musician, and man of faith. But beyond his public achievements and battles, he held a role often overshadowed by his grandeur. He was a father. Imagine David, not as the mighty king, but as a father with gentle eyes, watching over his children with an intense love. Each of his children was a precious gift to him, and in Tamar, his only daughter, he saw beauty, grace, and the promise of a future rich with blessings. In those moments, David's heart was tender, just like any other parent's heart, full of pride and hope. Tamar was not just a daughter to David, she embodied his dreams for a peaceful and joyful future. Her innocence and grace symbolized purity in a world often filled with strife. In Tamar, David saw a life untouched by war and sorrow, a promise that his lineage could also be one of peace. This hope for her future wasn't just the dream of a king, it was the heartfelt desire of a father. He longed to see her life unfold with happiness and fulfillment, her days filled with blessings he could only imagine. As a father, David often found himself praying for Tamar, asking God to shelter her, to guide her path, and to keep her heart pure. His prayers were earnest, reflecting the fears and hopes of every parent, regardless of their status. Perhaps he whispered these prayers in the stillness of the night, asking for protection over his beloved daughter, knowing that he could not control all that lay ahead. David's prayers revealed his vulnerable side, the side of a man who knew he was ultimately powerless to prevent all harm. Despite his might as a king, David could not shield his children from every danger. His love for Tamar was fierce, yet even he knew there were limits to his protection. In Tamar, he saw not just his daughter, but a piece of himself, a reflection of his own dreams, and perhaps of his own weaknesses. His heart, though strong, would eventually face the painful reality of being unable to protect her from all harm. This internal struggle is something every parent can understand, a desire to shield our loved ones despite the uncertainties of life. David's legacy as a father reminds us of the universal bond of parental love. His fears, his joys, his hopes, these are things all parents feel. Though he held power over an entire kingdom, his heart, when it came to his children, was as vulnerable as anyone else's. David loved Tamar with a tenderness that transcended titles and responsibilities, a love so profound that it defined him more deeply than any crown or throne. In Tamar, David saw a divine grace, a reminder of God's blessing in his life. This love, though it would be tested, remained a powerful symbol of the depth of a parent's heart. As we reflect on David's relationship with Tamar, we see a man who cherished his role as a father, a man who, despite his fame and strength, found his greatest purpose in the lives of his children. In David's love for Tamar, we see a reflection of God's love for each of us, boundless, protective, and deeply personal. Tamar's early years were marked by innocence, beauty, and a spirit that shone brightly in the halls of her father's palace. Imagine her as a young girl, eyes wide with curiosity, laughter spilling from her as she ran through the palace gardens. Tamar's charm was natural and captivating, drawing people to her with a gentle ease. She was the kind of person who lifted the spirits of everyone around her, a beacon of light and joy in the lives of her family. Raised with the teachings and traditions of her people, Tamar's days were filled with stories of her father's faith and the courage of their ancestors. She grew up hearing the Psalms David wrote, words of worship that instilled in her a deep sense of devotion. These songs were woven into her soul, melodies of hope and resilience that would echo through her life. Tamar held a quiet strength, a graceful spirit that hinted at the woman she would one day become. Tamar's beauty was more than skin deep. It was in her kindness, her compassion, her willingness to see the good in others. Her family and servants alike admired her not only for her physical beauty, but for the purity of her heart. She approached life with a gentleness that inspired affection and respect. Her presence was like a balm, bringing peace and joy to those around her, a testament to the grace she carried within her. As she grew, Tamar dreamed of a future filled with love and purpose. Like many young women, she longed for a family of her own, a home where she could share the love she felt so deeply. She saw the world as a place of beauty, a place where her life could be full of blessings and joy. Her dreams, though simple, were deeply meaningful to her, reflecting a hope that was as yet untested by the hardships of life. In those early years, Tamar's life seemed touched by God's hand. She was sheltered, loved, and surrounded by a family that valued her. Yet like a delicate flower, her innocence made her vulnerable in ways she could not foresee. The world can be unkind to those with pure hearts, and Tamar's journey would soon test her spirit in ways no one could have predicted. Reflecting on Tamar's youth, we see the preciousness of innocence and the beauty of a heart untouched by sorrow. Her early years remind us of the value of hope, the quiet strength found in faith, and the joy that comes from believing in a future filled with God's blessings. Tamar's story begins with promise, a young woman filled with dreams, unaware of the trials that awaited her but already possessing a faith that would carry her forward. Life can change in an instant, and for Tamar, that moment came without warning. In the very place she believed to be safe, a darkness entered her life, shattering her innocence and dreams. The tragic event she endured was not just a violation of her body, but a deep wound to her spirit. It was a moment that altered the course of her life, casting a shadow over her future and testing the resilience of her faith. Tamar's story reminds us that pain can come into our lives uninvited and often leaves scars that run deep. This experience left Tamar with a brokenness that words cannot fully capture. The silence that followed was filled with shame, confusion, and a sense of betrayal. Tamar's world, once filled with light and laughter, became a place of sorrow. She was not only hurt, but also felt abandoned, as the people who should have protected her seemed unable or unwilling to face the pain she was enduring. Tamar was left to carry this burden alone, a heavy weight on her heart that seemed unbearable. For Tamar, this moment of darkness was more than just a personal tragedy. It was a deep betrayal by those she trusted. Her sense of security and peace was replaced by an overwhelming feeling of isolation. She felt as though no one truly understood her pain, as though her cries went unheard. In these moments of despair, Tamar's heart clung to the fragments of her faith, hoping that somehow God would bring healing where it seemed impossible. Yet despite the hurt, Tamar's spirit was not completely crushed. There was a strength within her, a silent resilience that began to rise as she processed her grief. She didn't allow her identity to be defined solely by the tragedy she endured. Instead, Tamar clung to the hope that one day she would find peace. This strength is a reminder to us all that even in our darkest moments, there is a light that can carry us forward, a faith that holds us when everything else fails. Tamar's story speaks to every heart that has felt broken, abandoned, or hurt by life's unfairness. Her courage in the face of such deep pain reminds us that healing is possible, even if the journey is long and difficult. Tamar's faith did not erase her pain, but it gave her the strength to move forward, to keep going even when the world seemed darkest. Her story shows us that God's love can reach us in even the deepest valleys, offering comfort and hope. If this story touches your heart, consider sharing your own journey of resilience in the comments. We all have moments of darkness, but together we can find strength in each other's stories. or simply comment with the word strength to let us know you're here, walking this journey of faith alongside us. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories of hope and inspiration. When King David learned of Tamar's pain, his heart was shattered. He was no longer a king with armies or victories. He was a father, overwhelmed by sorrow and regret. David had always believed that his love and authority could protect his children, yet he was faced with the heartbreaking reality that he could not shield Tamar from this hurt. In his private moments, David's mind must have raced with questions and guilt, wondering if he could have done something to prevent her suffering. David's grief was intensified by the realization that the pain Tamar endured had come from within his own household. The betrayal struck deeply, cutting through his heart like a sword. The palace, once a place of safety and joy, had become a place filled with sorrow and tension. David's love for Tamar was profound, yet he struggled with how to express his remorse and compassion fully. The weight of his responsibilities as a king clashed with his duties as a father, leaving him feeling helpless and torn. In these moments, David likely turned to God, seeking comfort and guidance. His prayers were likely filled with both anguish and humility as he asked God to help Tamar heal, to restore her spirit in ways he could not. For a man so used to taking action, this situation forced David into a position of quiet submission, relying on God's strength rather than his own. His sorrow was a reminder of his humanity, of the limits of even the greatest leaders when faced with personal heartbreak. David's regret was not only for the pain Tamar endured, but also for the ways he felt he had failed her. His desire to protect her had been genuine, but he now had to face the consequences of his own mistakes and choices as a father. He was haunted by the pain he couldn't erase, by the knowledge that his own weaknesses might have contributed to Tamar's suffering. It was a heavy burden to bear, one that no amount of wealth or power could ease. The depth of David's sorrow is something many parents can understand, a helplessness in the face of a child's pain. He longed to heal Tamar's wounds, to bring back her laughter and light, but he could only watch as she walked her path of healing. This helplessness was perhaps David's greatest sorrow, a reminder that even in his power, he was limited in his ability to protect those he loved most. David's story teaches us that sorrow and regret are part of the human experience, even for those we consider to be our heroes. His pain, though great, reminds us of the power of empathy and the importance of acknowledging our own limitations. David's love for Tamar was unwavering, a father's love that endures through every trial, even when there is nothing left to do but pray and hope. In the wake of Tamar's tragedy, her brother Absalom's heart was filled with a fierce anger. As a protective brother, Absalom's love for Tamar was deep and loyal. Seeing his sister in pain awakened a fire in him that could not be quenched by words or promises. Absalom felt not only anger toward the one who had hurt Tamar, but also toward his father, David, whom he believed had not done enough to bring justice. His love for Tamar was fierce, and his pain over her suffering was nearly as great as her own. Absalom's anger grew over time, becoming a consuming force in his life. He could not understand why justice had been delayed, or why David, a king who had conquered so many enemies, seemed paralyzed in the face of Tamar's suffering. To Absalom, this inaction was a betrayal, a failure of the protection and justice that his family deserved. His frustration built a wall between him and his father, and that wall would eventually lead to a rift that tore their family apart. In his frustration, Absalom became Tamar's silent guardian, offering her comfort in his own way. Though he rarely spoke of the event, his actions revealed his deep care for his sister. He took her into his home, shielding her from the eyes of the world and allowing her a space to grieve and heal. Absalom's home became a refuge for Tamar, a place where she could find some semblance of peace amidst her pain. He understood her in ways others could not, and though he could not take away her sorrow, he remained by her side. But Absalom's anger also planted seeds of rebellion in his heart. His desire for justice grew into a desire for vengeance, and over time he became consumed by the idea of avenging his sister's honor. He believed that Tamar's pain deserved a response, that her suffering demanded justice, even if he had to take matters into his own hands. His heart, once filled with love, became hardened by bitterness, leading him down a path that would shape his own fate as much as it did Tamar's. In the years that followed, Absalom's anger continued to influence his decisions. His rebellion was not just against the throne, but also against the perceived injustices in his own family. His love for Tamar was real, but it was a love that could not heal because it was bound by anger and resentment. Absalom's story serves as a reminder of how deeply unresolved pain can shape our lives, steering us in directions we may not intend to go. Absalom's role in Tamar's life was a complex one, a brother who loved fiercely, yet whose anger led to his own undoing. His love for Tamar showed the depth of his loyalty, but his inability to release his anger became his downfall. Absalom's story, intertwined with Tamar's, is a lesson in the power of forgiveness and the dangers of letting anger define our lives. After the tragic event that shattered her life, Tamar carried invisible wounds that no one could see but that she felt deeply each day. Her once bright spirit became clouded by pain and sorrow, and the vibrant young woman who once graced the palace halls with laughter was now wrapped in a heavy silence. Tamar's struggles were hidden from the world, yet they marked every step she took. The burden of her suffering, carried quietly, was as heavy as any physical weight, shaping the way she saw herself and the life she believed was meant for her. Tamar's inner struggles weren't just about what had happened, but about the life she believed she had lost. She mourned not only her own innocence, but the dreams she had once held for her future. The joy she once took in simple things, the hope she had for a life filled with love, seemed unreachable, like distant stars that had dimmed forever. Each day, she felt the sting of her loss, and her heart ached with the knowledge that she could never go back to the person she was before. In the quiet moments, Tamar's heart turned to God, seeking answers, comfort, and perhaps a glimpse of hope. Her faith, though shaken, remained a source of strength, a fragile yet resilient thread that kept her connected to something greater than her pain. She questioned why such suffering had come to her and wondered how she could move forward. Yet, even in her doubts, she held on to her faith, trusting that somehow, in ways she could not see, God would restore her broken spirit. Living with her brother Absalom provided Tamar a sense of safety, but even this comfort could not erase the pain. She struggled with feelings of shame and isolation, often believing that others saw her only as a victim. The weight of her silence felt suffocating at times, yet she chose to carry it alone, not wanting to burden others with her grief. Tamar's hidden scars were a reminder of the strength it took for her to continue each day, a strength born from her quiet resilience. Over time, Tamar learned to live with her scars, not by forgetting, but by accepting them as part of her journey. She came to understand that healing was not about erasing her past, but about finding peace within it. Her struggles, though painful, began to shape her in new ways, giving her a compassion and depth that she might not have otherwise known. Tamar's silent battles were difficult, but they also made her stronger, allowing her to reach a place of understanding and self-acceptance. Tamar's story speaks to the hidden struggles that so many carry silently. Her journey reminds us that healing is a process, one that often takes time and patience. Though her scars remained, they became symbols of her strength, a testament to her resilience and faith. Tamar's life is a powerful reminder that even in the darkest seasons, there is a path to healing, one that begins with the courage to face our pain. For Tamar, healing wasn't a single moment of revelation. It was a gradual journey, one step at a time. After the storm of her tragedy, she found herself standing in the quiet aftermath, searching for a way to piece together the fragments of her broken spirit. Tamar's journey toward healing began in small ways. A prayer whispered in the stillness, a moment of peace found in the warmth of the morning sun. Each of these simple acts helped her find a glimmer of hope, a reminder that life, even in its brokenness, still held beauty. Her path wasn't without setbacks. There were days when Tamar felt as though the weight of her pain was too heavy to bear, moments when the darkness seemed insurmountable. But in these moments, she discovered a strength within herself that she hadn't known existed. This inner strength didn't erase her pain, but it gave her the courage to face it, to acknowledge it, without allowing it to define her. Tamar began to see that healing was about more than forgetting. It was about finding a way to carry her scars with dignity. Throughout her journey, Tamar found comfort in her faith, a quiet yet steady presence that reminded her she was never truly alone. Her prayers became her refuge, a place where she could pour out her heart without fear of judgment. In these sacred moments, she felt God's presence like a gentle hand on her shoulder, reassuring her that her pain was seen, her tears were counted. Tamar's faith became her anchor, grounding her in the belief that even in her brokenness, she was loved. As Tamar continued to walk her path of healing, she began to reclaim pieces of herself that had been lost. She found joy in small things, a blooming flower, the laughter of a child, the beauty of a quiet evening. These simple moments became her markers of healing, each one a testament to her resilience. She learned that healing didn't mean returning to who she once was. It meant growing into a new version of herself, one marked by strength and grace. Through her struggles, Tamar gained a compassion for others who suffered. She understood pain in a way that few others could, and this empathy became a part of her healing. Her story, though marked by sorrow, became a source of comfort for those who faced their own trials. Tamars' journey taught her that her life still held purpose, that her story could bring light to others who walked in darkness. Tamars' journey toward healing is a powerful reminder that our scars do not diminish our worth. They reveal our strength. Her story encourages us to seek inner peace, to find beauty in resilience, and to trust that healing is possible even after the deepest pain. Tamar's path wasn't easy, but it led her to a place of peace and strength, a testament to the enduring power of faith. As Tamar's journey continued, she began to face one of the most challenging steps in her path to healing: forgiveness. This wasn't a quick or easy process, and it certainly didn't come without inner struggle. Forgiveness wasn't about forgetting the pain she endured. It was about releasing herself from the chains of bitterness that threatened to consume her heart. Tamar's story teaches us that forgiveness doesn't mean ignoring our hurt, but choosing not to let it define our future. Through her faith, Tamar found the strength to seek peace. Her prayers shifted from pleas for justice to requests for inner calm. She asked God not only to heal her own heart, but also to grant her the grace to forgive those who had wronged her. Tamar's journey toward forgiveness became an act of faith, a trust that God's justice would prevail, and that she could find freedom by letting go of resentment. This choice was difficult, but it allowed her to reclaim a sense of control over her own life. Forgiveness didn't change what had happened to Tamar, but it did change her perspective. As she released her anger, she felt a newfound peace begin to settle in her heart. Tamar realized that forgiveness was as much a gift to herself as it was a choice to release those who had hurt her. By letting go, she found a lightness in her spirit that opened the door to deeper healing. Her faith became her guiding force, helping her walk this difficult path with courage and grace. Through her experience, Tamar learned profound lessons about faith and resilience. Her pain had once felt overwhelming, but through forgiveness, she discovered a strength that she could lean on for the rest of her life. Her story reminds us that forgiveness is not a sign of weakness. It's a powerful act of strength, a choice that requires courage and deep trust in God's love and justice. Tamar's faith in God's plan gave her the patience to forgive, even when it felt impossible. For Tamar, faith and forgiveness became intertwined. Her belief in a loving and just God allowed her to find peace, even in the face of unimaginable pain. She trusted that God would redeem her story, that He would turn her suffering into something meaningful. Tamar's journey of faith showed her that healing wasn't just about mending her own heart, but about finding a way to walk forward without the weight of anger or bitterness. Tamars' story challenges us to consider our own paths to forgiveness. Her life is a powerful example of the freedom that comes from letting go of past hurts and placing our trust in God's hands. Through Tamars' journey, we are reminded that faith can lead us to forgiveness, and that forgiveness in turn can lead us to a peace that transcends our pain. Tamars' life was marked by both beauty and tragedy, yet her legacy goes beyond her suffering. Despite the pain she endured, Tamars' story has been passed down through generations as a testament to resilience, faith, and courage. Her life, though marred by sorrow, has touched countless hearts, reminding us of the strength it takes to endure and the grace that can emerge from our deepest struggles. Tamars' legacy is one of quiet influence, a story that inspires others to seek hope in the face of hardship. In reclaiming her legacy, Tamar transformed her suffering into a source of wisdom and compassion. She became a silent teacher, her story serving as a guide for those who have faced similar trials. Tamars' life reminds us that our experiences, even the painful ones, have the power to shape us in ways that bless others. Her memory has become a symbol of hope for those who walk through dark valleys, showing them that healing is possible, that peace can be found even after the storm. Tamars' influence extends beyond her own time, reaching into the lives of those who read her story today. In every heart that finds comfort in her journey, in every soul that draws strength from her resilience, Tamars' legacy lives on. Her life is a reminder that our pain does not have to define us, but it can refine us. Tamars' journey of faith, healing, and forgiveness is a powerful example of how God can use even our greatest hurts for a greater purpose. Her memory became a source of strength within her family as well. Tamars' resilience inspired her brothers and sisters to face their own struggles with courage, knowing that their pain was not the end of their story. Her legacy of faith influenced those around her, reminding them of the importance of holding on to hope and trusting in God's love. Tamars' life became a light for those who felt lost, a reminder that God's presence is with us, even in our darkest hours. Through her story, Tamar has become a beacon for those seeking to rebuild their own lives. Her influence reaches across the ages, touching hearts and reminding us that even in suffering, we have a choice. We can let our pain harden us, or we can let it shape us into people of strength and compassion. Tamars' legacy challenges us to choose healing, to seek peace, and to trust in a love that never lets us go. In the end, Tamars' life reminds us that our stories, no matter how painful, can bring hope to others. Her legacy is a testament to the power of faith, the strength found in forgiveness, and the beauty of a life reclaimed. Tamars' memory is one of quiet resilience, a story that continues to inspire and uplift, showing us that no pain is too great for God's healing touch. Tamars' story, though rooted in ancient times, holds lessons that are deeply relevant for us today. Her journey reminds us of the reality of suffering, the strength found in resilience, and the profound impact of faith. In Tamars' life, we see the courage it takes to face unimaginable pain and the grace required to seek healing. Her story teaches us that no matter how broken we feel, there is always a path forward, one guided by faith and the quiet strength that God places within each of us. One of the most powerful lessons from Tamars' story is the importance of holding on to hope, even in our darkest seasons. Tamars' life was marked by sorrow, yet she refused to let her suffering define her entirely. She showed us that hope isn't about denying our pain, but about trusting that God's love can reach us, no matter where we are. In her quiet resilience, we are reminded that hope is a gift, a light that shines in the midst of our trials, guiding us forward even when the path seems uncertain. Tamars' journey also teaches us about the power of forgiveness. Her choice to seek peace rather than remain bound by bitterness shows us that forgiveness is a path to freedom. Letting go of anger isn't easy, But Tamar's story reveals the healing that comes when we place our pain in God's hands. Forgiveness, as Tamar showed, doesn't erase the past. It transforms our future, allowing us to move forward with peace instead of resentment. Another lesson we draw from Tamar's life is the strength found in community and family. Even when she felt isolated, Tamar was surrounded by those who loved her deeply. Her brother Absalom's fierce loyalty, despite his own struggles, reminds us that support from others can be a source of comfort and strength. Tamar's story encourages us to lean on those who care for us, to allow their love to help us bear the weight of our burdens. Tamar's faith, though tested, remained her anchor. Her trust in God's presence, even when the way forward seemed unclear, reminds us of the sustaining power of faith. Tamar's story invites us to place our trust in God's love, knowing that He sees our pain and walks with us through every valley. Her faith wasn't an escape from her suffering. It was a source of strength that helped her face it. In her story, we find encouragement to hold on to our faith, trusting that God's love is greater than any trial. As we reflect on Tamar's journey, we're reminded that our own stories, too, can be sources of hope and healing. Tamar's life, marked by resilience and faith, encourages us to believe in the possibility of restoration. Her story challenges us to choose forgiveness, to lean into our faith, and to trust that even our deepest hurts can lead to something beautiful. Tamars Legacy is an invitation to find courage in our own lives, to trust in God's love, and to believe that healing is possible no matter where we find ourselves. Tamar's story is one of sorrow and strength, a journey through suffering that ultimately reveals the resilience of the human spirit. Her life, though marked by heartbreak, reminds us that healing is possible even after our darkest moments. Tamar's courage and her unwavering faith inspire us to seek peace, to forgive, and to trust that God's love can bring restoration even to our deepest wounds. As we reflect on Tamar's legacy, may her story encourage you to embrace faith, hold on to hope, and believe in the power of God's healing. Let Tamar's journey be a reminder that we are never alone, even in our hardest trials. If this story has touched your heart, please share this video with friends and loved ones who may need this message of hope and resilience. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so you won't miss more stories of faith and inspiration. Together, let's continue walking this journey of faith. Let us pray. Dear Lord, we ask for your healing touch in our lives. Just as you walked with Tamar through her pain, be with us in our moments of need. Grant us the strength to forgive, the courage to heal, and the faith to trust in your love. May we find peace and hope in your presence, knowing that you are always with us. Bless us, Lord, and guide us each day. Amen.